take. This is really like take 100, but we're going to say take one. What's up, guys? I'm Mr. Uzumaki, and today I have a video that I think will benefit a lot of C-Class owners. And why I say that is because today we're going to be reinstalling my 10.25-inch screen. I bought this screen from carlife-mall. It's a company in China, and to my surprise, I ordered it. It came in less than a week, right? And then from that point on, for like the last 2 weeks, I've been troubleshooting, not really troubleshooting, but trying to work through the installation. After a week of work, because remember, I'm sometimes not here, sometimes here. After a week of working through this and reading and researching the problems that I have, I decided for you to just uninstall my new radio, put my car back to stock mostly so that I could walk you through the install process so that you don't make the same mistakes that I made. And I made, Jesus Christ, I made quite a few mistakes. And look, I tried to follow all the videos online, and one of the biggest hurdles that I ran into with the videos was just a language barrier and not following the steps the same, because sometimes you would see the directions, but they would be in Dutch or they would be in Chinese, mostly in Chinese, or they would be in German, something that I couldn't read, and I didn't have anybody here with me that could help me through that process. I originally had a long drawn out video of me going by tools and all this stuff, but after going through this experience, I think that we're just gonna jump into this video and get this done so I can get you up and running with your screen so that you can avoid the pitfalls and have a working unit in your car in no time at all. There shouldn't be any questions after this video. That I can promise. And if there are, just shoot me an email or message me here. Just leave a comment down below if you have any questions. If I don't know the answer, I'll make sure that my guys at carlife-mall respond to you as quickly as possible. And it's just that simple. So don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and comment if you feel the need. Positive comments are what I prefer, but I love you haters as well. So hate if you want to. It all benefits me in the algorithm. For real. So let's jump into this video. What I need to do is I want to walk you through the parts really quickly. Then I have to move the Hellcat out of the garage, open up the door. You see, I've already started splitting, and I've only been out here a few minutes. Let some fresh air in here, and then pull the bins in so that I can work on it easily. Now, I've already been through this process, and I'm only going to cheat on one part because I don't want to break the part again. I'm going to show you how to take off some of the plastic pieces, because in some of the videos that are online, they've already broken the plastic pieces and nobody tells you that. Or if they did tell you that it was broken and to be careful, it's in another language that you may or may not understand. And it's just that simple. So first we're going to go over what came in the packet, right? This is your bypass harness. I don't know what they officially call this, but the unit is very simple to install. You plug one into the back of the radio, you plug the other end into the OEM cable, and you're basically hooked up at that point, and this goes into the back of the radio. Now, out of all these freaking wires, you only need a few. If you're like me and you only want OEM functions, plus you want to hear sound playback from the unit. Your video cables, right? These are key, because if you don't hook these up, you won't have audio from the unit. Either these will plug into the aux cord if you have that in your car, or they'll plug into this Bluetooth adapter, right? So what they give you is they give you this cable that will hook up to these two, right? And then these audio cables. This plugs into your aux outlet if you have one in your car. Or they give you this Bluetooth adapter. This plugs into here, and this is just the power cable that plugs into this. Red to red. Real freaking simple. I didn't know that when I started this install, and I can't tell you how many times I had to break down my dash. Now, the only other thing that you will need on this is this USB port, and I'm going to show you where I decided to put this USB port. And then also you have your GPS antenna, and then you have your antenna for your car, your radio antenna. If this is not hooked up, you won't get any of your factory settings. So this cable must be plugged in securely, right? Out of this adapter, then this one, the USB port. And I plugged in the Apple CarPlay to this one. Car antenna to this one. This is for a front camera, if you have one. I don't have one yet, but I'm thinking about putting one in. I think that'll be a neat video. And then that's basically it. That's all you really need to install this unit, right? And get it up and working properly. Now, the unit actually has a spot for a SIMS card on the back. SD card slot, SIMS card slot. You can't do any audio with the SIMS. And you have 3 antenna hookups. The gold one is your GPS. And I don't think it matters for these two, but you get 2 more antennas, which I'm going to show you up here in a second. But these 2 antennas are for 4G and 3G coverage. What I'm going to do now, I know this is a mess, but I'm going to move all these to my car in a second because I have to move this car outside. But I wanted to show you guys this. These are the adapters that I didn't use the first time. CarPlay, I couldn't get this to work. It was a software problem. This works just fine. This is your CarPlay adapter if you want CarPlay. This is, I think it's an AMI cable. I don't need this for my car. I'm going to call Benz because I actually have an aux port on the back of my unit. I think the aux port connection is better than the Bluetooth connection because there's a lag in video audio through the Bluetooth at the moment in my car. It may not be that way in your car, but that's the way it is in my car at the moment. So I have Rock looking into that from Carlife-Mall to see if there's a fix. But right now, I'm not happy with Bluetooth video playback. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Benz on Tuesday and try to, if they're open on Monday, I'm going to go on Monday and take them a picture of the back of my radio and ask them if I can buy an aux cable. If it's not too expensive, I'll buy it on the spot or I'll order it from online once I have a parts number. This is your 4G or 3G antenna. You get 2 of these. I didn't plug these in the first time, but I'm going to plug them in this time to download apps and whatnot. I'm going to get the unit hooked up to my cell phone plan with AT&T if that's possible. I'm going to try. I have all the frequencies that this thing works on. I'm going to take it to AT&T and see if it'll work. If it works, then I'll get a SIMS card, put it in there, and I'll be able to, I won't be able to make phone calls, but I will be able to download. This speaker I didn't use. You can hook it up. I really don't have a place for it right now, but if you wanted audio from the unit and you did not want to hook up the audio video cable to the aux, this will give you audio from GPS for sure. And I don't know if it will give you audio from the other applications on there, like if you were playing YouTube or a video. But it probably sucks, guys. You want to hear, like if you're watching a movie, you want to hear it. You want to hear the bass. You want to hear all that, all the highs, all the lows. You want to feel that movie if you're watching it in your car. So with that said, the only other thing that came in this was a harness, and that's it. Now one of the biggest problems that I had when I was trying to install this unit was the fact that I didn't know what tools I needed at first. You're going to need, as far as the dash, this T15 takes care of everything. You only need a Phillips screwdriver. Other than the T15 start tool, you only need a Phillips head screwdriver or bit to screw in the bolts that are in here. There are 2 Phillips screws in there. Can you see it? They come in a little packet. I put them in there. I just don't want to close it because the more you open and close this is only plastic. I'm pretty sure you can even rip it off, but I don't want to rip it off. I want this to stay on. So when you're looking at it from through the windshield, you don't see anything. It looks clean. So I'm being really careful with that. And I haven't shed it. Even when I had it installed on my car before, I didn't shed those 2 little clips. Of course, you're going to need a plastic pry tool. I have a coax puller. This is for pulling cable. You can use a clothes hanger really and truthfully, or a ribbon or any kind of string to pull cables through the dash. It makes it a whole lot easier. And this crescent wrench is just to tighten down the antennas on the back of the unit, just to make sure that the connections are really snug and tight and they're not loose. One of the problems that I had when I was installing this was I wasn't pressing in the cables all the way. So all the functionality wasn't there. So I had to take it off, take off my unit, take apart my dash again, make sure all the cables were pushed in, and voila, everything worked. It was very annoying. Now, you will notice I went to AutoZone and got this car stereo kit, and this is where I got the RCA pull tool. This is where I got the pry tool, and I had got some other stuff in here that I already had that I can't use. I have some towels because who knows what you're going to need to wipe down. I'm not going to use this tape, but if I do need to use this tape to cover anything sensitive this go around, I'm going to use it. That's just masking tape, and that's pretty much it. I broke some of my, I broke 2 of my plastic pieces, 2 of the clips, because the videos that I was showed that I looked at didn't correctly show you how to pull off those clips. I'm going to show you how I think those clips come off and why, and then you can make your own determination about what you're going to do. But I'm going to show you what I did, right? And with that said, this is one thing that you will need as well. If you have Apple CarPlay, it's a 6-foot long cable and it plugs into here. It's just for like $7. It plugs in here, and this will just run to my center console. and just rest in there. I'm not drilling any holes, even though I can. I'm going to do this without drilling. So with that said, guys, let me move all this stuff to my car. Now, guys, I can tell you right now, I hope to do this pretty fast. I've gone through the process. I think, in all honesty, if I wasn't trying to film, I can reinstall this thing in less than an hour. But because I have to shoot and I have to take multiple videos, that may take me a little bit longer. But in all honesty, if you know what you're doing and you've taken your dash apart before for anything else, this shouldn't take any more than an hour and a half to knock out this installation. This is really freaking simple. And again, you don't have to splice any wires. This harness pretty much takes care of everything for you in my case. So what I'm going to do is, while I'm doing this, for my purposes, I'm going to put on something to help me with my time. So I started watching How Not to Summon a Demon Lord, and I'm going to start it off from episode number 2. They imply a lot of sex in this particular anime series. So if you're under 16, do not pay attention to the screen while I'm recording, because I have no control over what's going to come up. So with that said, let's jump into this video.
I just want to stay in the sun where I find, I know it's hard sometimes. Pieces of peace in the sun's peace of mind. I know it's hard sometimes. Yeah, I think about the end just way too much. But it's fun to fantasize. All my enemies who wouldn't wish who I was. But it's fun to fantasize. Oh, 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 I'm born, so I'm taking my time on my ride. Time on my ride. Taking my time on my I die for you, that's easy to say. We have a list of people that we would take. A bullet for them, a bullet for you, a bullet for everybody in this room. But they don't seem to see many bullets coming through. See many bullets coming through. Metaphorically, I'm the man, but literally, I don't know what I do. I live for you, and that's hard to do. Even harder to say when you know it's not true. Even harder to write when you know that you're not. There were people back home who tried talking to you, but then you ignore them still. All these questions, they're folded like, who would you live for? Who would you die for? And would you ever kill? Oh, 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 I'm born, so I'm taking my time on my ride. Taking my time on my ride. Taking my time on my I've been thinking too much. I've been thinking too much. I've been thinking too much. I've been thinking too much.
It's really simple what we're going to do right now. The speaker will pop off. You use the pry tool to get that off. And what you do is you just run the pry tool. What I'm doing is I'm just doing this very gently. Just trying to get the clips to pop up. Nothing's broken. Now in my case, this wasn't the first time that speaker had been off. So I just want to make sure that I didn't damage the dash when I did that. And if I did, what can I do at this point? Now at this point, the other thing, this was number 1. This is the first item you need your pry tool for. Item number 2 is this piece right here. Now if you'll notice, I've already got it off. The reason why I already got it off is because I actually broke one of the clips in this piece when I took it off, right? This is one of 2 pieces that I damaged. Now, what you'll have to do is you'll have to take your pry tool and just get up under this part and wedge it out. There's going to be a lot of tension on this side when you do that, but you just have to hold it out, take your pry tool, wedge this side out, and at that point it'll come up over the clip. Now it won't pop out like that. What's going to happen is you're going to have to pull it out, and as you're pulling it out, you're going to have to stick the pry tool in on one side or the other and push in on the clip. In all the videos that I saw, people were trying to push in back here, which had me thinking that there was a clip that pushed in on the back side. That is not the case. If you notice, here are the clips right here that are holding it in. They're in these two spots. And as you notice, you press it in. Now you will see that I Gorilla Glued this one back on. It was partially broke because when I pulled it up, I tried to pull it up this way while pressing it on the back side. That did not work, but it should have worked, to be honest with you, because the way, I don't know if you can see this, I'll try to get as close as I can there. But if you can see this, the way that they have the snap on this clip designed is that it gets shallower on that side. So in theory, if you're pulling up and you're pushing in on the clip just a little bit, it should give way on one side and then the other side. Just so you know, just be careful with these clips, because if you look at any of the other videos online, what you will see is that you will see that one of these clips is missing when you look at it closely. I didn't notice it the first time I looked at those videos, but after I broke mine, I went back and looked at theirs, and the clip had already been broken off. Or either they broke it off when they pulled it up and they just didn't know, or they warned you in some other language that you probably don't speak, that to be careful when you're pulling this one off. It'll still, even if you break a clip, it'll still go back in there and it'll still work, because what happens is it just pushes down on that part right there to release the doors. That's all it is. The whole car is freaking plastic, pretty much. So I'm going to put this to the side because I don't need it anymore. The next time I put that on will be the last time I take this off, because I don't want to put any undue stress on my clips anymore. All right. So the next thing you will do, now that you got this off, is I want you to notice something. Think about it, foreshadow it, what you want to do. You don't do it this way, but I just want you to know there's two screws that hold the radio in place here, one right here and one right here. There are two screws right here. These two screws hold the dash in place, and that's it. The sets of screws don't have anything to do with each other, just so you know. Now, for my purposes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two screws out first, remove the command unit, unplug it, put it off to the side so that I'm done with it. Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to remove these two screws, right? Finding these suckers is a challenge. This is no longer needed for anything. Now, this one comes apart right here. So now, guys, I just want you to know, you're going to reuse these screws. You just want to take them out, and where they're going to fit is they're going to fit in the exact same place in the bracket for the new unit. So let's go ahead and take those out now and put them in place. So guys, what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to think ahead, because I'm always looking for hot wires, and I just noticed that this might be a hot wire that I can use at some future date to tap into. So what I'm doing is I'm going to take this, since it's not used anymore, and I'm going to route it up through this hole and just tape it to the side here. Hopefully this works out to where I can still put the clips in there without breaking anything. Because I can tell you right now, the GPS will go through this right here. I'm not drilling any new holes. So I'm going to sit the GPS down in here and route it through here. See how that works out for me. All right, guys. So far, everything's been going pretty smooth. We got our display out, everything to the side. I'm going to take this. Can you see it? What I'm going to do is I'm just going to route it there just to get it out of the way until I get my cables routed. The reason why I did this is so that when I'm routing my cables, at some point I'm going to want to go back to stock when I sell this car. unless I get I sell it private sale and I get my money back for the unit in that sale. Regardless of the case, I don't want this to get tangled up with the other wires. I had that problem pulling it out when I put everything back to stock, and I learned from my lesson, and I'm passing on that lesson to you. So I just put this to the side until I get my cables run. Then once I get my cables run, I'll pull it from the side, and hopefully it will not be tangled up with the others. If I remember to do this, when I unplug it, I'll put it back to the side and then pull my cables out nice and neatly without any other drama that I had before. So now that I got everything done here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove these two screws right here. These are T15s as well. So the good thing about these is that they're accessible. So as you can see, all I'm going to do is just take these out really quickly. There's nothing to it when you got an impact wrench, especially when you're trying to save time. What I'm going to do is, since this is not moving, I'm going to put these two screws in here. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, what you're going to do is, to pull this off, you start by lifting up in the center and then pulling back. It's really simple. Now, did you see that? I just lift it up, and now that it's off, I'm going to pull it back and I'm going to flip it over. Now, in the other videos, they unplug some cables here. I'm not going to worry about that. I've done this so many times now. I don't need to unplug any cables. Just going to be very careful. Pull the cables out as far as I can. Keep this as tight to the dash as possible. And if you have some books or something to sit this on, just so it doesn't go all the way down to the floor, I would do that personally. That's what I did. It's actually sitting on this box, but that works for me. Okay, so now all we got to do is take out the control unit, the CD player, and then swap out the cables, run the cables through the dash. So first things first, this is the cable that will plug into here. Now, there's one thing that you have to do that I didn't know about when I originally did it. Wondering why I didn't have audio for my OEM display, right? On my command modules, I had them showing up. First mistake was this wasn't plugged in all the way. Got that plugged in all the way, and I got my OEM functionality back into my new display. The next problem was I didn't have any audio. The reason why I didn't have any audio is because you have to take the fiber optic jacks out of the OEM connector and plug it into here, same location, and I'm going to show you that right now. So let's go ahead and pull this out. Again, you have two T15 star screws. That's all she wrote. Now this will just pulled it out too far. I don't want to lose either one of those screws. There we go. So I'm just gonna pull this back. This comes out. It's just that simple. Okay. Now I'm gonna sit it right there. Check this out. See this little clip right here? It pinches in right here. As you pull it back or push it back, it pops out, right? Clip it in, and then just push it back. And then just pull it out. And that's all she wrote. Now, what I didn't do before is, if you see in there, if you look in here, these are the two fiber optic connections right here. Crazy, right? I didn't notice those before, and I missed them. So that's these two right here. It actually snaps out. What you do is to get it out, there's a clip right here. You see how that pushes back? Right there. You push that clip in, and then you can pull this out. That's it. This is the fiber optic connection that connects right there. And before we get to that too, I want to show you something else that I found. On this unit in my 2015 C400, there is an aux port right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a Mercedes-Benz dealership and see if I can find this plug to activate this outlet. I don't know if it's possible, but this is the aux connection, and this right here says TV, which I guess you can buy a TV antenna for the car too and hook this up. But I don't need that anymore because I can just download my Comcast app and just do that on the new screen. So I don't really care about that. So if you'll notice, this one has the same two missing ports now. So what happens is this one plugs right in here. See how it fits? That's a little clip. That little clip's gonna go right there, and that's it. So now you're all set to go. So stage one will be just to line up the fiber optic cable. Make sure this is pulled out like so. And what you're gonna do is you're just gonna line it up. That's it, it's in. So what you wanna do is you just wanna make sure, since I pulled on everything, I'm gonna push everything in extra tight, snug, because I don't wanna pull this thing apart anymore until I find out if I'm getting that aux cable. So I'm just gonna make sure everything's snapped in, nice and secure, because I'm not taking this thing apart again. All right, so that's stage one of the bypass. The next stage is just to take the original OEM connector and plug it in, and it fits in the same way. What you wanna do is you wanna make sure this is out, and you just wanna plug it in. Just snap it in. It's just that simple. I just wanna make sure all the plugs and cables are in place since I've taken this apart a few times. This is just me making sure everything's okay. And that's pretty much it for that stage of it. So now that that's out of the way, the next part of this puzzle is routing cables. All right, so now this is the aux cable hookup or the Bluetooth adapter connection point here. Aux or Bluetooth, you have your left and your right connections. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and connect these. This is very important. If you don't connect these, you won't have audio, right? So they're going to connect onto this wire harness like this. Real simple. And I just want to connect those now before I start running cable because I want to pull this up through there all together. Now I can focus on pulling cable. First step is to get it behind here. So what I'm doing now is I'm just wrapping this around the cable as best as I can because it's a very tight space here. And I guess I could pull it out. So what I'm doing is I'm just wrapping this RCA puller around the cable so that hopefully it stays in place. Now I'm just going to try my best to pull this thing back through here. Try. So I just pulled it to this point right here. Now I'm gonna snake it through here. Notice how this is moving. Don't want it to move too much. Just want to be careful at how much pressure you put on this thing. What I'm trying to do right now is just pull it through here so that I can pull the cables up as far as I can. See how it fit there? So now I'm just going to pull the cables out. This is step one. Step two will be me mounting it back in here and coming out through right here. But this is just how I'm getting my cables in place, and it's also how I'm making sure everything's still hooked up. You really don't have a lot to work with here. All right, there's a little box that's connected here that I wanted to make sure was up behind there before I continued on. Just checking my cables to make sure everything's still plugged in okay. Now, step number two is to go from here to there. without breaking anything. Guys, you have to be very careful because, I mean, this is just all plastic. You know what, I'm just going to take this off. I think I may be able to just thread it through without this. So, because I can feel it right here. Let's see. Haha! Eureka! Okay. So now I just need to push wires through here. What are you caught on? What are you caught on back there? Booyah! Okay. So that's this complete harness is in place now. This is about as far as I'm going to get. That's more slack than I had before because I ran the wires a little bit better this time. And I was able to get as much of it as I could back up behind here. So that worked out really nice. Before it was like right here. That's all the play I had. So now I just want to make sure that the red and the black wire here are concealed. I'm going to show you guys, I found a spot for these things. I'm going to show you where I put it at just so I can have access to it in the future in case anything should happen. Okay, so that's that. Next step is this bad boy. So again, we're only using 2 wires out of the entire mix. So the good thing about this one is I only have to fish this USB cable down through there, and this is for the Apple CarPlay. So let's do that really quickly. Going in the opposite direction should be a lot easier, right? You would think. But again, I don't want everything to get tangled up. So maybe I should try to go down this side. Is that even possible? Eureka! Okay. So, even though I think that this is more like this and this, as far as sides for the power, I may have done it backwards, but it was easier for me to do. I think these are going to actually connect like this, but it doesn't matter. As long as one is going down one side, one's going down the other. Inside here, I don't personally care. If you care about that, then make sure you get it right, but I'm not going to stress it. I'm just going to try to get this done. Booyah! So we got our Apple CarPlay connector there, USB port, and then we also have our hard drive port for a little portable USB drive, which I have one that I'm going to format and just leave it in place. This one right here, and I'll format this one and just leave it in place. So now let me show you my little spots that I have for these things. Got lottery tickets everywhere. This is one of my lottery tickets for this week. Notice the date. Can you see the date? Notice the date. $2 bought on the 1st. So right here is where I'm going to stick one of my cables out. It'll actually be this cable right here. Let's see if I can do that. No drilling required. So what will happen is I'll be able to plug in. This is the Apple CarPlay one, so what I'll do is I'll stick the USB one right here and just have it sitting like that. And you won't even notice it. And I'll just be able to plug a hard drive in here. Just make sure I don't push it back in there once I put it in there. I'm going to have a way to, maybe a string tied to it or something, so I can pull it out, make the connection and be done with it. But nobody should notice it if it's right there. Maybe I can come down and put it in here. Really, nobody will notice that. But it looks kind of weird, right? So we're going to just hide it like that. And we'll have the USB drive. We'll be able to plug and offload stuff directly into it by plugging this in there. Just sliding it back whenever we need to do updates or anything. I think that that's a good idea. It's a solid idea. Same thing with the Bluetooth adapter. Just in case I ever have to reset it, you can do this on either side. So just in case I ever have to reset it, this will also be right there. Nobody will ever know it's there. The wires will be, of course, on the other side, you know? You know what I'm saying? The wires will be on the back side of this, so you won't see those at all. But that's the intent of what I'm going to do. Again, no drilling required. This is just stuff that I worked out on my own. I haven't seen this in anybody else's videos. These are just my solutions to help you guys do this a little bit easier. So let's go ahead and wrap up this install because I'm basically done at this point. So now that I got these in place, right, I'm gonna go ahead and put my GPS wire cable in place. Now I could route this through the dash and stick this up under here, but I'm just not. No, you could take the time and route this wire through the dash out to the pillar over there, up the pillar, and stuff it back up in here, just like I did for the Autovox GPS right over here. But I'm not going to do that. I don't have time to do it. I'm not going to do that right now. There's no need for me to do that. And this should be the last GPS antenna that I need, period. I'm just going to stick it there. That's it. There's a crevice right here. Show you. I'm just going to stick this right down in there. This little crevice should come in handy. I'm also gonna, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna route this wire through here. That's it. So that's my GPS antenna right there. Now, since I am gonna do the 4G and the 3G antennas, this is weird, but I'm gonna also try to stick these in here as well. This will give us a 4G and a 3G signal capabilities in the future. Again, I just don't want to take anything apart again after I'm done with this. If I do, it'll be just to route these cables right here. So I'm gonna just try to stick these down here as far as I can. Put one on each side. Here's what I did. Got one on one side, one on the other, and a GPS in the middle. Hopefully that works. And then what we'll do is, it's gonna be a mess of wire through there. What I want to happen is I want the GPS on top of all the wires so that there's no interference, you know what I mean? So I'm going to put the GPS on top of these. I'm just going to stick them down as far as I can. One on each side. And then we'll put the GPS in the middle. So now I have all these wires. What am I going to do with them? So apparently there's a little space here for these wires to fit up under here. So what I'm going to do is see if I can group these together. Okay, so we are pretty much just about done with this. There's not much left to do here. We just got to make a few connections. First thing we're going to do is we have our Bluetooth adapter. Going to just plug it in. This is hooked up to the left and the right cables here. This is the power for that. Let me untangle this really quickly. All this will be stuffed under here. I'm not going to do much cable management here. I'm just trying to get this done. It's hot out here, guys. I'm soaking wet. I just want to make sure that nothing's tangled up. All right, so this just plugs in like so. So that's plugged in. This is connected now. It's just waiting for power. Next will be, so again, this is the one that I'm going to use for my hard drive. It has a little arrow right here. The one I'm using for the Apple CarPlay is the one that has the USB symbol, and it clearly says on the back of it, Universal Serial Port, USB. So that's what I'm doing for the Apple CarPlay. And let me go ahead and plug that in right now, as a matter of fact. So let me go ahead, and this is the Apple CarPlay module, adapter, whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to plug it in. I'm going to show you where this is going to go later, but I want to go ahead and make the connection and conceal this back behind the radio. If you notice, there's like a little opening right there. That's why I'm pushing as much stuff as I can. So this is an extra long cable. It's like 6 foot. more than enough for me. So this one is done. I should never have to access it again. Make sure it's not tangled up with anything. Okay, and this is my connector for my iPhone. All right, so I'm just gonna take this and I'm gonna stick it all the way back there. I have another USB port. I'm gonna show you where I'm gonna put that at really quickly so that it's out of the way as well. There we go. Completely out of the way. I know you can see it way back there. So it's way back there. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to find a spot in here. You can see how this kind of fits together. This cable right here, I'm just going to route through here, just so that it's out of the way of this command unit. What a mess. Okay. Bluetooth adapter right there, and everything's plugged up. Okay, so pretty much it's pretty much everything, right? What I'm doing is I'm sticking all these excess wires back to the back, making sure everything's plugged up one final time, because I think that's everything. We got Bluetooth connectivity hooked up. We got our audio cables hooked up okay. We got power to the Bluetooth adapter. We have a connection port over here for the USB. We got our Apple CarPlay plugged in and ready to go in the back there. I think that's it. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I'm missing here, but I'm not. Let me look at the cables just to make sure that there's nothing else. I don't want to take this thing off again, period. Like I said, I don't know what to do with this speaker, so I'm not going to plug it up. It's going to be one of two accessories that they sent me that I did not use. Then I'm done with this, basically. Yeah, I think that's it. So now, let me button this back up. Hopefully everything goes back in without a problem. There are a lot of cables back there now. And I can just fill all those cables. What I want to do is I just want to make sure that all the cables are fitting back into that crevice. Now, I don't know if this crevice is for airflow, but I am definitely blocking that sucker. If it is for airflow, we might have a problem. But air should still be able to get through there. Booyah. That's it, guys. Oh my God. So the only cable that I have coming out to the front is the Apple CarPlay, and it's going to go into my armrest. I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. That's it. Woohoo! So now the only thing we have left to do is to put together our bracket, bolt it in, make sure that we got the cables that we need. So now, make sure I got my cables on the right side. So we have the large one, like I said, on this side, smaller one on this side, and then we should be good to go. Okay, let's knock the rest of this out really quickly. So this will plug into this. You want to make sure that this is tight. Like I said at the beginning of this video, if this is not tight, then you won't have any OEM functions on your new unit. So that means you won't have radio, you won't have any of the car adjustability functions. Like for instance, I have an air freshener unit in this car. I wouldn't be able to access that if this is not plugged in. You won't have any functionality any functionality. Okay, so that's plugged in. So now all that's left for us to do is just make sure that the wires will all fit nice and snug through here. Booyah. Okay. I'm going to bring these through this side. So now my problem is cable management. Hopefully this video helped you guys out, especially if you had questions about how to do this install. I'm still not done yet. Some of this stuff is brand new for me. Right now, let's just see if this is going to work out the way I anticipated working out. So, gold cable is GPS. That's going to go right here. And I don't think it matters which one of these antennas get hooked up to either one of these inputs. So you want to be very careful with the screen again. What you hear clicking is me almost getting on the slide and then it popping off. I think that's it. I think that's it. Oh my God. It's pretty close. First time firing it up. Let's see if it works. I need to see what's happening to make sure I'm not. It says AMG right now, but I'm going to change that. Don't worry, guys. So that's stock radio that's playing right now. Take this off, make sure air's flowing through there. Booting up. There we go. Still booting up. Let's let it finish doing whatever it's doing. I'm soaking wet. Look, it's got all four of my doors open over here. That's a good thing. Now, it's got the right time because I had this set up before, but you're going to have to go into the settings and adjust the time. You're also going to have to go in to the speedometer and change that to miles per hour. I'll show you how to do that in a separate video. Today's video is just about installing the unit, getting it up and running. We'll go through the settings in my next video. So if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel and I'll walk you through how to set up everything that I had to work through over the last week and a half. But everything seems to be working. And just a quick tutorial. If you go to functions in here, you can change from kilometers per hour to miles per hour. You can also change the temperature from Celsius to Fahrenheit because it's going to come like that. Everything else you don't have to touch. I changed it. I think it was on installation of CSBS mode. I changed it to original car mode because that's just where I wanted it. Okay. So let's go back to home. You know, driving computers. It still says range is still in kilometers. I'm going to tell Rock and the guys at carlife-mall about that so that they can try to fix it. I'm sure I'm not the only one that's actually complained about that. Go home. And then there should be some of my apps that are already installed on here. Like I installed Escort Live. That's so that when I'm traveling, I can see the location of officers on the road, right? This also gives you a dashboard that shows your speedometer, the speed limit of wherever you are, and what direction you're traveling. That's very important to me. More so important than having the default one up. What I was looking for, since I'm not moving, it's not showing any of the officers that are on the highway. Normally you'll see like little officers speckled about, but I think it's because I'm not moving that's not happening. I'm going to close all that. One thing that I will go over in the next video, but I just want to make sure that the Apple CarPlay is hooked up. So don't want to make sure, well, what I want to do is I just want to make sure that the plug was registering and that the software is up to date. And that's very key for this, but it looks like everything is working, you know, and if I want to go back to my stock setup right now, it's picking up the Bluetooth adapter, Bluetooth audio. So if I wanted to go and, I don't know, play a video, this is a stock video that's there, and that's in 4K. Let's say I didn't want this to be full size like that. So I could do full screen, I could do best fit, I could do 4:3 or 16:9, or just center it. And right now I can't hear anything because I turned it all the way down, but let me turn it up. So the audio is working from the unit. And let's say, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop it. There's a power button right there. I could also close it like this. I'm going to close everything. I'm going to go to apps. I'm going to go to YouTube. Trav Nation. I'm just going to play a song. Trav Nation is playing. Perfect. Since I didn't have these cables hooked up before, this is a new one. What I had to do was to make this fit on here, because as you can see, I moved the camera in closer. You have two guides right here that guide this into place. You have this guide and this guide for this guide right here and that guide right there. This should slide onto here. My problem that I was just having was that since I didn't have these three cables hooked up before, I didn't have to worry about it, but this is what has to happen. You have to arrange these cables so that everything's out of the way and these cables are not crimped in any way, right? So this one is going towards the smaller jack to keep it out of the way. This is GPS. It's going that way by itself. This one is going towards the larger jack, but when I put it in, I rotated it as far as I could to the front. Then I put the third one in to hold this one into place, and it's also going towards this jack, right? And that's the way it should be, you know. So that was the problem I just had to overcome, and hopefully this works now. So let's see, because I just could not get this thing to slide on before. So now I'm going to try to feed all my wires through here. Let's see, the GPS cable is the only one that might get in the way now that I'm really worried about. So right off the back, I can tell you that I was able to get it all the way back to the back without any problems. And this time, all the guides are in place. Now, I just spent about 30 minutes messing with that before I realized that. Hopefully you guys won't rehash my issues. Don't want to tighten it too much because you will break something. Remember, this whole thing is like plastic. We are just about done here. We got the screen in place now. So now all that's left for me to do is the Apple CarPlay. This is the last thing, the last piece of the puzzle. Now, if you remember, we routed the Apple CarPlay phone connector through the same slot that has this green wrapped cable for the dash. Now what I'm going to do is, since these are obviously clip points for the center console cover, I'm going to just route it through here. Everything's in place, nice and tight, everything's screwed down. Just going to route it through here. I'm not going to do too much with it, except you will see that I'm going to come this way. And what I've done by accident, actually, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pry this off. And as you can see, I broke this clip off by accident here. There's one here, and there was one right here. I'm going to go to the junkyard and get me another one of these. It should only be like a few dollars. So what happened is, as you saw, this goes on here, and you just clip it underneath there on one side and slide it forward. And since this is broken off, what I was doing was I was running the cable under here. That was my original plan. And even when it was a little broke, I still had it run underneath the clip, but then the clip broke off when I started doing this video. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to keep my original route. This hole right here goes right into a little crevice here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull it forward as far as I can, so I can have plenty of play to pull my phone out if I need it. Doesn't have to be perfect here. Okay, and that's it. Just checking to make sure everything else is plugged up before I put this dashboard cover back on. So let's go ahead and wrap this up, buddy. Call it a day. So you want to make sure that your center console is open here. This is just going to slide underneath here. And one of the things that I did prior to this, I cleaned off the dash. So what you do is you push down up there first, and everything should slide back into place. Let's test out this Apple CarPlay. So it's asking me to plug in something. Apple CarPlay works just fine. See, can I hear stuff? I'm gonna play Pandora. Okay, this video is a freaking wrap. I have audio, I have video, and everything appears to be working as advertised at the moment. I only have one small problem, and that is I need to go by the dealership and try to figure out if I can activate the aux outlet on the back of my unit. If I could do that, then I'm going to be a one happy camper, because I can tell you right now, it annoys me when I'm watching video and there's a delay between the audio and the video. And because everything is broadcasting via Bluetooth, all the audio from the unit, like all the apps, there is a lag between the audio and the video. That's the only gripe that I have at the moment. And I know for a fact that the guys at carlife-mall, they didn't know about it. They're working on it. And hopefully it's not something that's just isolated to my car. Hopefully it's something that they can help me resolve. And with that said, I give this unit at the moment 2 thumbs up, because it is just as advertised. I can do everything that I thought that I could do. And then with me being the creative individual that I am, I can do even more. So I'm just happy and ecstatic about that. I want to say thank you to the guys at carlife-mall. Rock was there every time I called him. Well, every time I WeChatted him, Rock was there with an answer. All I had to do was send him a video of what was going on, and he would shoot me back the steps to troubleshoot, you know, because I really couldn't read the directions, because the directions they sent me were for a similar unit, but I just couldn't follow them. Probably just me. Whatever the case is, I am pleased with the customer service, because you got to think, if anything happens to this unit, I have to send it back to China. If I had bought one from Germany, if I had bought one from anywhere in the world, they don't sell these units in the United States, as far as I know. And if anything had to happen, I would have had to send it back to wherever I got it from. So I'm glad everything worked out of the box. Shipping was super fast. I ordered it. It came in the very next week. And I was kind of worried about that because of all the stuff that's going on politically, all the stuff that's going on. You know, I was kind of worried about that, but everything worked out. So now, guys, I'm about to start the rest of my day. It took me 3.5 hours to do this since I was recording a video. 3.5 hours to get this done. Like I said, if I was doing this and I wasn't worried about shooting a video and explaining everything as I go, I could have knocked this out in an hour, maybe even less than an hour, because it's not that hard to do. And hopefully you guys will subscribe and support me and just check me out. Like I said, if you didn't know, you know, this channel is basically about car mods and movie reviews. I haven't done a movie review in a moment, but it's coming. You know, I love those things. I watch them all the time. I've been digesting more than I've had a chance to compose. But that's about to change. And that's a bet. Believe it. So with that said, this is Mr. Uzumaki signing out. Thank you so much for watching my video. Wherever you are, whenever it is, be blessed, and I will catch you in the next video. Ciao. Woo.